I spray herbicides for 6 years, killing the weeds around the shoulders of the roads. And after 6 months, I started to spray those herbicides. I started getting respiratory problems that were I never related to the pesticides. And then after that, years later, these respiratory problems get more hard. I start getting headaches every time I have to be exposed to those pesticides that I was spraying. And then after that, I start getting feel dizzy, start losing all my power on my body, start getting abdominal pain. Later, I started getting more medical attention because these medical problems was hard. And most of my medical help that what I get was only from Kaiser, because it's very hard to prove that where these, all these problems come from being exposure to the pesticides. And in the year 2006, to the moment that where I don't even can walk by myself, I feel in my head that where I cannot think clearly. I start getting psychological help and psychiatric help. From the 2007, 2008, and 2009, I was out of my work because I just simple, my body don't has the condition to work.
And can you share with us, when was it that you started the legal action, and tell us how it was for you, because we're going to have a speaker talk about her experience on her own at workers' comp. How was it for you all by yourself doing stuff in Superior Court? How did you figure to do legal work, not being a lawyer and coming from another country and English as a second language? How did you do that?
I start see from which companies I spray more herbicides. So one of these companies is a Monsanto company. And,
Mickey Mouse company, you mean?
Okay. So I put a lawsuit in the state court.
But that's impressive. I don't even know how to do that. So how did you do that? English is a second language. Bring us there. How did you get the guts to go and file papers?
Well, I have a friend where he's American, and he speaks pretty good English, so he helped me to fill it up my first application for the lawsuit. So then this company removed it from the state court to the federal court. That was a lot more hard to fill it up all the papers in the federal court. And they tried to remove this case from the court, based where they say it's hard to prove that where my respiratory problems come to be exposure to these pesticides. So for this time, I already see like 4 different doctors.
And let me summarize. Isn't it true that you lost the first time in the first federal court? They said the chemical company was right and you were wrong?
Yes.
So after these big attorneys and a judge telling you were wrong, how did you get the nerve to say, I don't agree?
Well, because I'm convinced that after I check all the material data sheet of these companies, I'm convinced that where all my injuries come from exposure to these pesticides. So I have to appeal this case because I feel that where all my injuries come from exposure to these pesticides. So English is my second language, but I try to use the internet to translate. I write in Spanish, so the computer translates to English. So it was hard to fill it up, all these papers, but I appealed to the federal court in the Ninth Circuit, and finally, after a couple of years, the judge the judges say that I have proofs that were some of my injuries can be exposure to these pesticides.
So before we move to our next panelist, how did that make you feel coming to another country, using the internet? How did it make you feel when these big, smart judges said yes?
Well, I feel that take away from me because after being out of work for 3 years, getting no compensation for my injuries, and with these lawyers, they have a pretty good lawyers, telling me every time we show in the court, we're not going to give you any money. So for me was something, I feel very happy that where I can continue with this case, because I want to take this case to the jury so they can decide if my injuries come from my exposure to the pesticides or I was wrong.
Thank you very much.